This episode is brought to you by Dipsy.
Stick around for an exclusive offer from our friends at dipsystories.com. You're going to like the way you dipsy. I guarantee it.
Welcome to the Corn Corner Podcast. My name is Wicked Wren, and a great prophet has said that sitting is better than standing.
Who was it?
Jesus Alvarez.
All right. I'm Cam Damage, and could I just have like a 2 on the torture machine in the pit of despair? Last time the 8 was too much.
Today, speaking of torture machine, we're going to be speaking about maybe the first time you encountered a torture machine. And for a lot of people, these could look like different things. These could look like different...
For a lot of people, that's just adolescence.
That's just adolescence. And we're going to talk about some of the first times that maybe you saw something that you said, ooh, maybe this is just a little bit different. Live, laugh, love.
On the Corn Corner.
Hey, you feel that was good?
Yeah. Do you think it was okay?
Today, we are talking about some of the first times that we've encountered kink, some of our earliest experiences with the medium.
And kink awakenings.
And kink awakenings.
Yeah.
You were speaking about this recently.
Yeah?
I think so. I think that you were. And you said that you had a lot of different things to talk about and that you liked it.
Well, I just think it's a fun topic, especially the kink awakenings part, because I think we witness a lot of things when we're younger that we don't realize have an effect on us until we get distance on it. And then you get older and you start exploring certain things, and you're like, oh, so the things on Wesley's nipples in the pit of despair, I did internalize that, is what I think.
It's so funny. I was doing a Shibari Study episode, and someone was talking about religion and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really a recipe.
Religion?
Yeah, for why you're so kinky now.
Catholicism and stuff, especially.
This was Mormonism.
Oh, that makes sense also.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like rules and obedience and stuff like that.
When you were growing up, you enjoyed movies.
Uh-huh.
Did you see a movie that really stuck out to you?
That was a thing.
Yeah.
I think we've already talked about this a little bit, and Beyond the Princess Bride, which I feel like is a lot of people's obvious thing with the pit of despair and stuff. It's like, oh. I saw a lot of like horror movies and stuff.
Yeah.
that like involved sadomasochism and stuff when I was younger. And those definitely were like, why am I so interested in watching this? Like those kind of like 11 years old watching Seven or Hellraiser. Or
Is Seven the one, what's in the box?
Yeah.
What happens in that could be construed as... Is there like
A lot of stuff.
Is there something in the box that...
No, that part's not kinky.
Oh, okay.
There's a head in the box.
I've
Spoiler
never
alert
seen
for
that
Seven.
movie.
It's Gwyneth Paltrow's little goopy head.
We should add a TW. What is the thing? Or
Trigger warning?
yeah.
Content warning?
Or
Spoilers for Seven,
Yeah.
a movie that came out in 1999.
a lot of people wait to see movies though. That's the thing about it.
No, there's some other stuff in it that's the problem with it though, because like you watch something that has like intense homicidal sadomasochism, and that's not like that's not my goal. Like I'm not like, oh, that's what I want to do. It's just like you see things that are limit pushing. And like seeing people in intense situations like captivity and bondage. Another big one for me was The Cell, which I think you've maybe seen, but you don't remember.
I've seen The Cube.
No, Cube. It's just Cube.
I've seen Cube.
Yeah, but The Cell is very different. The Cell is J-Lo.
It's different than Cube in that it has a V at the beginning. Is
Yeah,
that what you're trying to
that's
say?
the main difference. Yeah, they're actually like when it's an adaptation of the other, and it's rare that a movie does a movie adaptation of a movie. But
They're
they did
becoming
it.
more popular these days.
Yeah.
What happens in Cell movie?
It's J-Lo in the height of her career as like a psychologist or like therapist, whatever. And then Vince D'Onofrio, I can never pronounce
We
it.
talk about this man.
I love him so much.
So much.
Sugar water.
Is that him?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Edgar.
Edgar. with like your. What did she
wearing
say?
wearing a people suit
That's
or something
it.
like that. Anyway, he's the bad. And then Vince Vaughn is the head cop, like the lead investigator on this thing. So Vince Dorner plays a murderer guy who has like a cell compound thing where he keeps girls
Okay,
and like
that'll
does
do it
stuff,
to
whatever. But it was also the first time. And then J-Lo does this like radical therapy where her and the person she's trying to therapize, they get in these suits and they get put under and she gets to go in their head to like give them therapy in their brain. It's this whole, that's really minimizing
That'll
it.
do it to you too.
Yeah. But anyway, in the movie, there's a lot of parts that are like, whoo, it's good, but it's bad. But he does like a flesh suspension. It was the first time I ever saw that because I think this movie was like, I was 10 when it came out.
Have you wanted to do one?
I've done a hook pull, but I haven't done a suspension, and I do really want to.
Well, I don't know if I should bring that up.
The hook pull? It was
Didn't
all a
you-
good thing.
Well, yeah, but didn't you did it in Orlando, right?
Yeah, we
That's
did it
what
in
I
a
thought.
hotel room
Yeah.
at Fire, like rope convention.
Yeah.
And it was Lexa like pierced me and stuff, and 10 helped, and then 10 did all the pulling, and
How bad
Lexa
does
did
that
some.
hurt?
It didn't hurt as bad as I thought it was going to. The piercing, the needles are so big, it was like a punch, and
Got
not
it.
like it was like thuddy instead of stingy, because they're really big needles.
What is a pull?
So like you do the piercing, and then you put the hooks in, like they fit into the needle, so you don't have to like take the needle out and then shove something else through. They like go through together, and then you attach like rope, whatever, to them, and then you literally just pull on the hooks.
Wow.
So like 10 was holding them up while I was like sinking down and putting weight on them, stuff like that.
What does it feel like?
It was awesome. I don't know how
Wow.
to describe it. It was like a weird pressure, but like so many like endorphins and stuff start going because it's like such a novel fucking sensation. But I kept doing it until they were like, all right, we should be done now. And I was like, what? And then they were like, no, you're good. But I really want to do a suspension pretty
Wow.
badly. And Peter and Spittle like do them.
Yeah.
Am I sweating?
I would say that you're pouring sweat right now. I would say
Is
that
it showing up on camera?
I can't tell what's showing up on camera, but
We got to tell y'all, listeners at home who are not on the visual aspect of this, we haven't even mentioned this. You should get on YouTube and watch this. We are in head to toe latex, custom sized to my body, so they're real tight. It is. We are in California, no AC in this apartment, 80 something degrees outside. I'm absolutely dying in here.
This is my thing about. We did a latex episode. It's like number 20 something or 30 something. I don't know. But anyway, the topic of casual latex came up.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to do casual latex.
Well,
'cause
this
of
is obscene. If there was air conditioning in here,
Yeah, I
it would be much
guess.
more casual. This is like the amount of sweat.
There's a lot in your body. But listen, we're not talking about sweat unless it relates to a film that
Yeah.
had a big impact on you.
Let me try to think of it. Maybe where someone licks someone's sweat off their armpit. I don't know. Because that's something I like. Get it? We're coming back in.
Were you ever like hooking up in like high school or something and you snuck a little lick of sweat?
Off of someone?
Yeah. And they like, because I imagine a lot of people wouldn't be into that.
No, I didn't hardly get to do anything kink at all until college. There was one guy in high school that like put his hand on my throat when we were making out. And I was like, oh my God. But I think he like may have like kind of lightly slapped me or something because I asked him to. But I would like beg dudes to do stuff and they would just like they'd be like no. And I don't like of course
Probably
they were
that's
like
a
no.
good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, of
That's-
course they were. We were like young and they
Good.
didn't know what the fuck they're doing. But then in college,
Then,
that's when the shit went down, you know?
yeah, that's when you really went to Pound Town.
Yeah. as people know I like to do.
One of the weirdest things that I thought was erotic growing up was Casper
Yeah.
movie. and the get ready machine.
So like we've talked about this before. When you initially told me that Casper was like a kinky awakening for you, what I thought, and this is where our kinks are different, obviously, was there's a part when he's laying on her bed and then he pretends to be a pillow. And she's like punching him to try to like fluff up the pillow, and he's all like, "Gah, gah." And then there's another part, so like that's I was like, oh, what's going on
I could
there?
be a ghost.
Because she's like hitting him and trying to like make him more comfortable, and he's just being like, it's like objectification is what was happening there in my head, but I didn't know that. But then there's another part where he's trying to make her be quiet, and he wraps himself around her like mouth and nose so she doesn't scream, and then like lets her go, whatever. But that was
You're like, wow.
yeah. But yours was
The machine where they would
the up and atom.
force femme the people.
It's so funny because it's like it's not force femme, but it is.
It is 100%.
But there's like a bow tie and there's shaving. But
Oh,
like
yeah.
so it's like it's funny to me
I don't. Yeah,
because
I guess I don't remember
it's like
that.
trans force femme because it's like experiences that are trans femme kind of like going through it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, like, but it is force femme also because there are like makeup options and like the powder.
Yeah, I remember the powder.
Yeah, and the hair brushing.
Yeah, I was like, wow. And then they come out in the clothes. I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Oh yeah,
little
'cause
dollification.
it puts the
in there.
dress on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little dollification in there too.
yeah. So, how long did it take you to think back on the up and atom machine and Casper and be like, oh,
I immediately knew.
like
I-
then you knew it was kinky?
Not kinky, but also my relationship to kink was really different because I think for me, I just wanted a way to express myself. So seeing that was cool because there's so much ingrained like transphobia and stuff in myself that I
Yeah.
couldn't say something like, this is how I want to be. This is how I want to express
Yeah,
myself.
you're like, I want to be Christina Ricci.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
seeing like a machine that you get put through.
Yeah, because
and
that's
then-
what you said. It's like CNC.
Yeah, it
because you don't
is.
get to say what the machine does.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was cool because it took away the degree of me saying like, hey, I want
Yeah,
to wear a dress. I want makeup. I want these things. But I wasn't able to say that because there's so much ingrained like just transphobia.
Yeah.
There's all this stuff that I that was really helpful.
yeah.
Just
So
to be like,
oh no, I can't help.
I'm-
I can't do anything.
yeah, I immediately was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I thought it was kinky per se
Well, we didn't have the like.
language, but
Yeah.
I think I did think it was like, now I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's definitely kinky.
That's what I have that with like. Before She's the Man, there's this movie called One of the Guys.
Okay.
One of the guys, one of the boys. I forget which one it was from the 80s. And it's like a very similar to She's the Man thing where a girl pretends to be a guy and like gets in with the guys and is one of them and it's all cool. And then she like develops a crush on one of them, yada, yada, you know, the story. And then there's like tits when it's like,
Yeah.
as a girl, boobs. And that was also good for me when I was 8 years old. But, but that was my being like, oh, just pretend to be one of the guys.
It's so funny because I saw She's the Man and I was like, why would you give this up? What are you doing?
Give up being a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, you got it all.
You don't know how good you have in Amanda Bynes.
Yeah. That really was like hard for me to watch.
It's fair.
It made me angry.
Speaking of dollification in The Cell, not to go back to that, but there's so much kinky shit in that movie. There's like a bunch of that where he literally is making, spoiler alert for The Cell. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's not great. It's pretty fun though. But he makes his victims like dolls, like essentially where he like bleaches them and like cleans them. And in his little mindscape, when J-Lo goes in there, he has them like hooked up to stuff. So they're like dancing
Wow.
or like doing weird shit. And there's like gags keeping their mouths open. So again, I was like 10 and was like,
You gotta be kidding me.
watching this being like, oh my God, like these things exist. But it's also super fucked up because it's like,
Yeah.
a murderer and dead girls and whatever. And I'm like, but I wonder what it's like to just be held captive in a cube for like
You're like, Mom and Dad, this is cinema.
yeah. Let me watch The Cell for the 20th time, please.
God.
It's on Stars once again. Like
God.
we have the DVD actually. I'm shocked they let me have that.
Did you watch 50 Shades of Grey?
Did we watch it together?
No.
I watched it with I think it was Bex and DWL and 10 and probably like Bobby, but we watched those movies. I don't think I got to the last one. It was obscene. I think you've watched them.
No.
You haven't?
No.
Oh my god. It's kind of worth it because they're really funny.
Okay.
She's like reading through okay, so like a hypothetical first. If you were looking through like a kink contract with someone, which you'd never do, but I have done and have signed in my life before. Oh boy. And okay, so they're like listing things. They're listing kinks and things that could happen. It's a consent worksheet.
Yeah.
So like, what is the
consent?
I know, right?
Anyway, sorry.
What is the thing that would make you go, blah blah? Like this isn't on the menu at all. Like whatever.
What's the thing?
Yeah. Like you've more hard limits than me, obviously.
Yeah,
like you'd be like bloodletting.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, or like something.
Leeches, no.
Yeah, like whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I would. Yeah, something.
Blood stuff.
Yeah, absolutely no blood. Spit, don't like.
Also, that's considering that like poo poo is not even on that menu.
Come on,
like the normal things that we. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to yuck anyone's yum.
Yum over here, but I feel like that's a pretty. I like when you ask people's limits and they're like, no,
I'll do anything or no shit.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, duh.
No shit, no vomit.
Yeah.
Don't like put things in my butt without asking. I'm like, yeah.
But everything else I'm good with. All right, let's start over.
Yeah. We all know going in that no one's going to be pooping here today. Yeah. Anyway, the point of that was in 50 Shades of Grey, she goes over their like thing and she's like, butt plugs. And that's the thing that makes her be like, whoa, what are you gonna do with those? And it's like, put them in your ass, Anastasia. Like, what do you think is going on?
Oh my!
And it's like one of the little jewel.
Yeah.
And butt
they
plugs.
show it.
Oh, I'm just making a joke.
Yeah, but it's gotta be.
It's probably Also, just to real life here, don't use those little butt plugs with the jewels on the end because they're really dangerous and can get sucked up in you. And like legitimately, that is a thing. Use like better ones that are higher quality with more of a flare at the tail that can't get sucked up into your rectum. Thank you for this.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate because they are really hot, I think.
The jewel ones?
Yeah.
Obviously disagree.
I think we've got to come from a different place here.
Yeah. I mean, I used to have them.
Yeah. But that was a different life.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's hot to wear them unless. All right. I think that they are there for the male gaze fully.
Sure.
And I can
see both sides.
I think it's hot if you're wearing it for someone that is really into it and thinks it's hot. And I also, in that same vein, think that it's hot because it is like so dainty and it's kind of like baby's first butt plug. And that's hot in and of itself.
Yeah, that is.
Versus like, there are people out there that are professionals and doing crazy. Yeah. Whereas that's hot in a different way.
This podcast brought to you by X-Lube.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
That's hot in a very different way.
Yeah.
But I think there's something about the innocence of the jewel plug that is actually very
I get that
hot.
From that point of view. That makes sense. I would never use one again.
No,
for many reasons.
Yeah, duh, of course not.
Also, because it'd be nothing, because I'm a fucking champion.
All right. Well, everybody, the days keep coming and they don't stop coming. Now, you've been talking about doing kink in a less out there way.
Yeah. I think I've been doing possibly too much. I can't keep every day with this.
It's hard to inflate those horns every single day of the year.
You know what? And I'm just a regular guy. I inflate my horns one pump at a time. just like the rest of you.
Just like the rest of us.
But I have been wanting to get into my, erotic interests a little more discreetly.
Speaking of that, it's a good time to introduce our sponsor this episode, Dipsy. Dipsy is good because you can put headphones into your head and you're the only one that knows what's going on.
Into my head.
Into your head. People, Dipsy is an app full of hundreds of short, sexy audio stories. Dipsy brings scenarios to life with immersive soundscapes and realistic characters. Discover stories about second chance romances, adventurous vacation flings, and hot and heavy hookups.
I'm most interested in the last one.
Hot and heavy hookups?
Do you think there's any latex stories in there with specifying inflation of horns?
Well, it's good that you asked that because there's actually a growing library of fantasy stories with vampires, Greek gods, and fairy smut. Now, I have listened to the Dipsy catalog.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of things around latex and demons.
And demons.
Potentially.
As well.
So
it's all about how you interpret it.
It's all about how you think about it. They also have sleep stories. They have wellness sessions. It is a fun time. And for listeners of this podcast, you get 30 days free.
If you use the code, go to dipsystories.com/corn.
dipsystories.com/corn. That's DIPSEA stories.com/corn.
And that's CORN, like your favorite podcasters, the Corn Corner, not KORN, like your favorite Adidas wearing singer / rapper / Jonathan Davis. Thank you.
I think that Jonathan Davis, could you think if he would read for Dipsy?
I would love it. Jonathan Davis is great. I think he'd be a great voice on dipsystories.com/corn.
He would love to use that promo code.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he?
I think he would.
Well, people, let Dipsy be your go-to place to spice up your me time, explore your fantasies, relax, unwind, and even heat things up with a partner.
Without having to do all this.
Yeah, don't do all this.
Pop in some headphones.
Speaking of heating things up with a partner, and speaking of utilizing dipsystories.com/corn, have you ever watched a rather
salacious
movie
yeah.
with a partner? You knew where I was going.
I mean, how could you not? Do you mean an actual, like a movie that has saucy scenes or a movie that is saucy scenes? We're talking about.
We're not talking about.
We're talking about my job.
No.
Okay. Well, you're just talking about a movie.
You're a podcaster.
Yeah, it's true. Have I watched a movie that has a sex scene in it with a partner? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Did you feel?
Oh, I have a funny one that just came to mind.
This is why I asked these questions.
We're talking about earlier experiences. So this one's better than any that I've watched in the past 10 years. So Brad of my husband fame and I we went to see Underworld 2 in theaters, and Underworld is an awesome vampire werewolf movie, and it's hot. Like Kate Beckinsale is in full body latex and stuff. Amazing. And super hot vampire, the guy Michael, who's her counterpart, super hot, like in Vampire Hybrid thing. And the second movie, they do sex, and and I'm sure there was a snippet of it in the preview that made it be like, ooh. But I remember being in the theater with Brad watching it, and the sex scene happens, and being and us both being so horned up about it, seeing it on the big screen. And then I've gone back and watched that movie again, and the fake, his bits and her bits, they're so far off. There could be a foot between them, and he's just humping her belly button, and it looks so obviously faked when you are looking at it. But back then, it was just so Michael and Celine are fucking railing out right now, and it was hot and whatever. But yeah, that had a lot of impact on me and Brad when we were younger.
You.
Yeah,
I did like things that people wearing latex, I will say.
Yeah, like Catwoman you've talked about before. Yeah,
love that.
Yeah,
that's great.
I think when we were younger, especially, it was such an interesting novel thing.
Yeah,
that it was whoa. but then we don't try until we're older because, good God, the struggle,
Yeah.
the whole thing. What I was gonna ask? What were like some of the first kinky things you ever did? No, like that you knew. It wasn't like, oh, looking back on it, that was kind of kinky. Like,
So I have to be totally honest. Rope
yeah,
was the first true kinky thing I did, because I think for trans femme people, we're just trying to figure out, everything feels kinky, quote unquote, because you want to experiment with femininity.
okay,
So once like that was not on the table anymore because I transitioned.
you mean doing like sissification, dollification, that kind of stuff? Or
Yeah, that wasn't even an idea in my head though. I was
Okay.
just praying in church every Sunday for a dress to be in my closet.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing kinky about that.
Yeah.
It was just me not knowing what being a trans was, not having the resources.
Yeah.
So once I actually found out what being trans was, none of that had like kinky connotations.
Okay. Yeah, because you were like, I just am a woman.
Yes.
It wasn't like a game or
So,
like something to do.
Growing
Yeah.
up, it was difficult, like, because like anything sexual is wrapped up with being trans as well.
Mhm.
And it was really difficult to explore and actually have fun.
Yeah.
So honestly, the first stuff that I did was rope.
Because it happened. It was what happened after transitioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes
So,
sense.
Yeah. And then exploring other things. But being like growing up, that wasn't really there. Because if I would have saw Underworld 2, I wouldn't have thought it was hot.
Yeah.
It would have made me really upset.
Yeah.
And that's why I avoided movies a lot
Yeah.
growing up, honestly. It's because I remember watching Pirates of the Caribbean
Oh, Keira Knightley.
and seeing Keira Knightley and truly feeling like I want to jump off a building.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I can't even handle seeing this.
It's funny because like me looking at Keira Knightley when I was younger was like, oh, she's flat.
Yeah.
And people think she's hot. So like you don't
good.
have to have huge tits to be a girl. Like I'm
Yeah.
just a flat girl. But then like looking at Underworld, I'd be like, it'd be pretty cool to be a muscly creature thing, but it's not weird
Yeah.
because it's a creature. Like
Yeah, I think that for transcend people, the degree of exploration is like quite shorter.
Yeah.
You can't do as much. There's not as much in the vocabulary.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of ways to express yourself. So
were you interested in stuff before? Like before transitioning, whatever, did you see bondage and you were interested in bondage, anything like that?
I hate to say this, but I couldn't separate not understanding why I wanted to engage with femininity because
Yeah.
I know what being trans was from the actual activity.
Yeah.
So no, if when I saw a Catwoman, I thought she was hot, like
Yeah.
everybody in the world, and I also was angry because I couldn't
Be her.
be her.
Yeah.
And so like no, I didn't think
And now
about
look at you.
Now look at me. But I didn't think about it at all from a place of like, I want to use a whip and whip somebody.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it from that place at all.
Also, isn't it cool though that like you've referenced Catwoman as like
Yeah.
an example of femininity and kink a lot of times through like the Corner and just in
Yeah.
our lives. But like, how cool is it that now you are like a hot chick that wears latex and owns a bullwhip and
pretty
like
cool.
knows how to use it and like all this shit. It's like, wow, dreams really do come true.
It's honestly, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I look back at that. I think about that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's that I'm just now being like, oh, that's nice.
It is nice. It's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. I guess I don't think it's a bad thing that we have such like different kink. Because like I have known about kinky stuff or have been witnessing it since I was pretty young.
Mhm.
And I wanted to engage with it sooner, but then didn't until college and not in the best way probably. But
Yeah.
I think it was fine because it was all consensual.
Yeah.
Like there was a dude on the lacrosse team, shout out, where I first went to college when I played field hockey, and we like hung out with lacrosse guys a bunch. And I remember I was like, me and Kessler, everyone knows Kessler, we're like the weirdos kind of on the team. But I remember being at a party in like a back alley drinking, and one of the older girls was like, hey, you should meet this guy. And I was like, okay. And like introduced us. And within 5 minutes, I was like, so we're supposed to like go fuck, right? Like,
God.
And he was like, yeah. And so like we did. And it was awesome because he was the first person that was like ever like rough with me.
That's cool.
But like, I remember he asked like, is that okay? Da, 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 like that kind of shit. And back then, of course, I was like, yeah, like anything.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, he was actually pretty like decent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we would keep hooking up, and then like in the locker room one day I had like bruises on like my butt and my throat and stuff, and my teammates were like, that's scary. Like, what are you doing? That like this is fucked up. And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I didn't do that again for a
Throat,
minute.
a little concerning, but
Well, it's like getting petechia
Yeah, I
and
feel
stuff, you know?
I feel you.
Yeah. But that was my first like actual thing.
I guess when you were talking about that, I did get bondage tape from Spencer's.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it was purple. And we did fuck around with that.
Yeah. It's always a thing.
Yeah.
But like
Underrated.
what, bondage tape?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I like that we've come like full circle where like you first get into kink stuff and you're like, I'm gonna buy all this gear. I'm gonna buy every toy. I'm gonna buy every piece of bondage possible. Like get this expensive shit. And now I'm like, if I'm tying someone, I could have like one piece of rope, or
Be
like
good.
I'll go to play with like one of the two people I play with or whatever, and be like, I brought cuffs. You can put them on in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
and then here's some implements. And also you can just use your hands. Like we don't need to.
Yeah. But I honestly do think that that's why I think that most trans femme people have this experience
Yeah.
that like sex is just hard growing
Yeah.
up. It's difficult. It's difficult for everybody. But I think for trans women, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, I didn't have any ways of exploring or doing anything because you're the person that should be instigating stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a huge difference between, so like I was a tomboy, so I got to be like, oh, that boyish weird girl, whatever. But there's no equivalent for
Trans
cis
women.
men and trans women. Yeah, because like then you're just gay.
Yes.
If you're a guy who acts femme.
Yeah, and
Like-
that was kind of the thing. I was like, I'm not. There's no variation. There's no way to explore anything. There's no way to do anything.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of co-opting these experiences into ways that you want to explore, and it's never good.
Yeah.
It never works out well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't. I don't have a lot of early experiences.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
I did actually, now that
Things are coming out of the woodwork here as we chat.
I do actually remember that there's a dog cage.
Oh yeah, okay. So the thing is, you've told me several things that I'm like, oh, you had some kinky experiences,
I
but it's not
forget
my
about
business
them.
to talk about.
Yeah.
So I don't talk about it, and like I'm like, you'll get there if you want to.
Yeah.
But there was a dog cage that a girl would put you in.
Yes.
And kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cage, not you. But
Yeah, I do remember that specifically. And there's a lot of details that maybe in a further episode I'll reveal more. But I still am unpacking a lot of that, to be honest, because there's still a lot of internalized shame around that. Because when I did it,
yeah,
I felt really, I grew up in the South.
Yeah.
Like there was no dialogue for anything.
no,
So I felt very shameful. So I'm still unpacking a lot of that, honestly, but that might be a fun one.
Well,
Maybe
so you were, like,
episode 100.
young.
I was very young.
Yeah, like those are things that I don't need to think about.
Yeah.
Like the like weird little like when you're playing with whatever dolls and saying shit and then being like, huh, made my dolls pee in each other apparently. That's weird. Surely that wasn't foreshadowing for anything.
God.
Odd stuff.
Did you play with dolls?
Yeah. I mean, I played with girls growing up because I was a girl growing up. I know. But I was always like, I'll be the dad. I'll be the
Yeah.
brother, whatever boy option
Yeah.
of dolls. Like, I'll do that part, you know, whatever. And there always was an option. So like,
What do you think the most underrated regular movie is for you to get your, I don't want to be vulgar here, but for you to masturbate,
Oh, like a movie that's not
to get a rock in?
like a rock in or off.
How are you, and I don't want to be graphic about this, but you're watching this movie, you're going to the Horn Dog Station.
The first one that came to mind is upsetting. Sorry.
Don't say Big Daddy.
Yeah, no.
You're not.
God, ew,
Stop
gross.
saying Billy Madison.
Oh, it's an Adam Sandler kink. It's actually a Rob Schneider kink. He's awful. I hate him so much. Fuck you, Rob Schneider. Anyway,
Fuck you, Rob Schneider.
seriously, take a minute here. Seriously, fuck Rob Schneider. Because not only does he suck and he's transphobic and shit, he made his entire career off mocking dressing up like women.
Yeah.
Like that's his. Look at his discography, his filmography. That's it. Anyway,
Do you think that this is the second time or third time that somebody in a demon horns has
Full
looked
latex.
straight into a camera and said,
fuck you, Rob Schneider.
Think about that.
I hope it's the first. I can't wait to make a clip of this and at him on Twitter.
Love it.
Excuse me, X.
I was going for a handshake,
Oh,
but
you don't
it's
want
more
to touch
symbolic.
me. I'm so sweaty.
Yeah, I am too.
Anyway, the movie I was gonna say is one that I would watch a lot when I was a kid, and it's not great in retrospect probably, but it's called Quills.
Never heard of it.
It's Jeffrey Rush plays the Marquis de Sade when he's been institutionalized, like he's in like a sanitarium or whatever, and Kate Winslet plays his the like scullery maid of the sanitarium. Joaquin Phoenix is the priest of it, like of the place. But it's like the story of him writing one of his stories while in prison, whatever. It's a like mental institution, and they keep like taking his paper away, so he writes it on like rolls of whatever, and then they take that away, so he writes it on his sheets in blood, and like. But the whole movie, actually a little strappy. The whole movie is like weird, gross, kinky, and it's like Jeffrey Rush being like an old, like lecherous man, whatever. But when I was younger, I was like, what a creepy old man, you know? It's like, ew, weird. But he's like, his Kate Winslet on his lap at different parts, and it's like there's groping, and it's like there's a lot of pretty hot things, but it's a bad, upsetting movie overall. That's my answer.
Yeah, it is kind of hard because I'm thinking about a bunch that are not good.
Like what?
They're not good. You know,
You gotta
don't
throw
wanna
one out
say
there. I
these
threw out
things.
Quills. You gotta just go for
Yeah,
it.
but nobody's seen Quills, so it's fine.
People are gonna sound off in the comments about it. Swear to God.
You think so?
Yeah. Have you seen Secretary?
Is that the French movie?
No.
No.
It's James Spader and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
No, but
You've not seen Secretary and you're a submissive woman? Well, you're a switch. Anyway. Oh my God.
Maybe I need to see Secretary.
It's like the indoctrination movie.
Oh my God.
Like when I was 19 in my first 24/7 DS relationship. Womp womp. He was like, you should watch this movie.
Oh,
Because like
shit.
that's what it is. And I think it's tainted for me because of that. So I don't know if it is a good movie or representation. But there's parts in it that make me say it is not good representation of a kink relationship.
I just got an idea. I got a feeling it's not good.
Yeah. But people, that's like the one. When people are talking about a kinky movie, it's like that.
Have you seen, it's a French movie, The Mistress?
No.
It's very cool. It's very good.
Is it in French?
Yeah.
I should probably watch it though. I don't know. I haven't watched many good like kink focused movies that do it well, you know? Because I feel like that's hard.
Well, you're going to have to make one then.
God.
And when you do make it, make sure you use code dipsystories.com/corn.
I'll make an audiobook then. I should write a kinky story and then narrate it for dipsystories.com/corn.
Yeah.
How's it spelled?
DIPSEA stories.com/CORN.
Corn.
And that'll allow you to get 30 days free only for the Corn Corner people.
Yeah. Only if you listen to the Corn Corner.
Tell them that we sent you, and tell them that all things are possible.
Yeah, through God. Bless up.
Bless up. Also, patreon.com. You're going to love it. We're doing
Patreon.com/the Corn Corner. You
We're
gotta finish
doing-
the URL. Just
Yeah.
send them to go over to Patreon.com and ask about us. They'll know what you mean.
We've been doing a thing we like to call 7 days and nights of Patreon.
Yeah.
And it's where for 7 days and nights straight, we set up a viewing arrangement on patreon.com/the Corn Corner in which you are allowed to watch anything you want that's on the page.
Yeah. You just go there any 7 days. You can pick. You make your own calendar.
Hashtag Patreon 7 days and 7 nights.
Corn Corner Challenge.
Corn Corner Challenge. And make sure you post your photos from that challenge.
Yeah, and make sure you use the hashtag.
Use the hashtag. What is the hashtag again? Say it.
Hashtag Patreon 7 days and 7 nights Corn Corner Challenge. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you use that and let us know what you think about it in the comments. We've been working really hard on this.
The 7 days and 7 nights challenge.
Yep.
Yeah, on patreon.com/the Corn Corner.
So
Yeah.
you were gonna call it the week challenge, but I said
No, it's got to be 7 days.
7 and 7 nights.
And I said that it could be like Lent, 40 days and 40 nights, where you abstain from everything but the Corn Corner. And if you're a real devotee, you only eat corn-based foods.
Holy shit! Why are we got? When is Lent?
Before Christmas, after Christmas,
We gotta
sometime
do it.
around there.
We gotta do it.
I like participate in it.
Yeah.
I can't eat that much corn.
Every day you have to eat a corn-based item.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, we're gonna legitimately, for realsies, sign up for Patreon.com/the Corn Corner and participate in Corn Lent. this year.
Corn Lent. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Instead of going to a fish fry, you go to a corn fry.
Holy
Shout out
shit!
to all my Christians out there, Catholics.
All right. Well, I think that's probably enough for the day, right?
Yeah, I need to take a shower.
All right. Well, thank you.
Well, just start thanking each other at the end of the episodes. Thank you for being here. Thank
Hey.
you for bringing this latex bounty.
Thanks for being you.
Yeah, it doesn't. And you know what?
But
It's talking about being you. Doesn't matter. Do it.
doesn't matter.
If you're dipsystories.com/corn.
Just be kind.
Dipsystories.com/corn.
That's right.
All right.
Everybody be kind, corn.